Hey, what's up guys? So I'm here to tell you guys what is actually good in OCG. Now, as some of you guys know, the OCG and TCG list is a little bit different. The main difference between OCG and TCG, really what it comes down to, is that they still have Stratos because, you know, they're always going to be playing heroes. But the main thing that's actually affecting the game is Heavy Storm is gone in the TCG, which means that players are going to be setting a lot more in the TCG. OCG meaning over in Japan, there was actually a pretty large tournament. I mean, it was only a little bit over 100 players, but the thing is, I don't know if you guys have been to Japan, but that place is very small, and for them to actually get a turnout, you know, 100 plus, I mean, some of us, you know, most regionals that we have in the TCG are much larger than that. So yeah, obviously Japan is a very small place, so their tournaments are not as large scale as ours, but you know, this is a decent pool size to actually pull from, and I got a lot of different decks for you guys that are actually topping. So there was a tournament recently that took place, and what actually got first place was Final Countdown. Now this is surprising, kind of, because usually the Japanese players don't really like the Final Countdown or Exodia. They kind of tend to stay away from those. In the TCG, a lot of our players like to play those types of decks more than the Japanese do. But the main deck that was actually, you know, taking more top spots than anything was actually Evil Swarm, because nothing was touched in the deck and it was already very popular in the OCG, and players didn't really have to make any changes to their deck. Next up, Infernities. I mean, Infernities are just a decent deck. Satoshi Kato was a very popular player that played Infernities, and he's been quite successful with it, as well as, you know, other people jumping on the bandwagon of playing Infernities. Now that, you know, Lavalval Chain, you know, is out, you know, people are excited to be playing Infernities because you really didn't lose anything in this deck either. And in a format where, you know, heavy is gone, this deck might be a little bit better because you can set a whole bunch of stuff and not have to really worry. But in the OCG, you're still going to have to worry because they still have Heavy Storm. Next up, Gadget Redux Gadgets basically is the deck. It's basically just an XYZ deck, but it's really what it comes down to, and occasionally you can, you know, go for the E-Dragon, the Earth one. But, you know, it's a relatively slow deck compared to, you know, some of the other decks. And, against, I guess, Evil Storm, it has an okay matchup just because you can go for, like, Symphony of Jin, throw this thing face down, and just run right over it. Next up, 4-Axis Fire Fist. I mean, this is kind of like a no-brainer. This deck obviously is going to be doing successful. And next up, I wish it wasn't true, guys, but we have the E-Dragons. They are actually back, and they're pretty much just running different Dimension Reincarnation in 3s. There's a whole bunch of different builds. There's a lot of players in the TCG testing out this Plant Elemental Dragon deck, and really what it comes down to is because Heavy is gone over here, guys, that changes the game completely because your opponent can set so much back row. And if you guys have ever seen Plant E-Dragons play, basically what it comes down to is they're going to go for one Secret play or one XYZ play. If you stop it, you basically stop them from doing any more plays that current turn, unless they want to go even more minus and, you know, not get the bonus effects of the other elemental dragons that they will need to banish to put presence on the field. So the way I look at it is, in the OCG, I understand that, you know, a lot of players loved E-Dragons because it was an inexpensive deck, and simply it's probably because more players actually, you know, had the deck, because it's not very hard to obtain Draco Sacks over there, whereas here it's kind of like a more expensive card. It's actually a lot more expensive over here than it is over there. I believe when I was actually over there, I believe it was like $8 was the price for the Draco Sack, and that's a huge price difference, especially when that was the time where it was hot. You know, as of now, it's not going to be as hot. So I think it's more so just more players just simply had the deck, and that's the reason why it's there at top, because a lot of players are playing the deck. I mean, regardless of what format it is, guys, I mean, even if we see Heroes topping, it doesn't necessarily mean Heroes are going to be the best deck. It just means that, you know, they did top, you know, the player was probably pretty decent, as well as, you know, it is a deck that a lot of people you know, play. At one point, you know, Macro Rabbit was a very, very popular deck, and it was topping so much simply because everyone had access to it. So I want you guys to take that into consideration. You don't have to automatically think E-Dragons are back, I gotta get the E-Dragon deck, because really what it comes down to, like I said, is in the TCG, we don't have Heavy Storm, so players will be setting a lot more, and if you guys play the Plant E-Dragons, I've watched it play out a few times, and pretty much what it comes down to is if, you know, you go for XYZ or Synchro, and it stopped, you really don't have, you know, other options you can go for. But I'll be doing a few deck profiles of these decks if you guys want. I mean, basically this deck is like, this deck hasn't changed at all, so I mean, I will be probably updating a deck profile on this anyways, just because some players want to be playing the Evil Swarms this format. But if you guys want to see any of the other deck profiles, let me know, and I will get onto it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope this gives you a decent idea of what you can kind of look forward to as far as the TCG, because obviously in Japan they are basically ahead of us by a few sets sometimes. Usually at least one set. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.